Chelsea was quite close to success. They were finishing second, third. They were reaching Champions League semi-final. Even in the years before, a beautiful tradition of winning domestic cups, getting to Wembley and bringing the cup home. Lots of good players, and of course, a new period for the club. You know, the owner, the CEO, the structure. So I think I come in a moment where that was the job. The job was to win it. The job was to bring Chelsea to that dimension. There are not big clubs without a trophy room, and Chelsea at that moment, Chelsea needs to win the Premier League, and I think the way we did it was very strong. It was 2 in a row, bump, and then the third season finish second and win 2 cups, the 2 domestic cups, also very, very close to the Champions League victories. So it was a big impact, and I think it lasts for years, because after that Chelsea stayed at that level, won again and kept winning cups, and finally the Champions League. So I think that was the step, that was the job. We come for that job. Obviously, then you think, okay, I'm going to stay for more years. I'm going to work with a different profile. But that was the job, and I felt that was the job, and I felt that the job was very adapted to my mentality, which is go to win.
Upon joining Chelsea, Jose Mourinho truly took the Premier League by storm. After winning everything with Porto, including the prestigious Champions League, the young Portuguese coach made a name for himself as the special one in the world of football. Nowadays, we know that Mourinho would have 2 spells at the London club, but back when he joined, nobody could imagine his departure. His first spell lasted from July 2004 till September 2007, and during his time at the club, Jose did exactly what he was meant to do: bring the club titles, glory, and a lot of victories, winning the Premier League in the 04-05, 05-06 seasons, the English Cup in the 06-07 season, the English Super Cup in the 05-06 season, and winning the League Cup in the 04-05, 06-07 seasons. This totals to an incredible 6 trophies won during his first spell at the club, which is an astonishing achievement, especially when looking at the back-to-back Premier League titles he had won. Considering that Chelsea hadn't been crowned as the best team in England in the league ever since the 1954-1955 season, I think it's safe to say that Jose did an outstanding job at Chelsea. But victories and trophies are just one aspect of the Mourinho effect at the club. He also brought the club the fighting spirit of perfection, where nothing but the win matters, and where everyone from the smallest to the biggest part of the club must give 120% and work towards the only thing that matters: winning. To put this in Mourinho's words, he helped them gain their football heritage, which can be seen to this day at FC Chelsea, who has won numerous trophies, premierships, and even 2 Champions League titles in the last decade. After all, if anyone could have transformed Chelsea into one of Europe's biggest clubs, then that had to be the special one. Right? Hey guys, it's Sudo here. If you enjoyed the video, please support the channel by liking it and subscribing to SudoSociety, as this channel is, just like Mourinho, a special one and not just one of the bottle. It more than deserves your like and subscribe. Also, you can check out my other content if you like, since I'm making a lot of interesting football videos and sports documentaries on my channel.
I was following the Premier League, and because we were since the quarterfinals of the Champions League with Chelsea in the same basket, I was also preparing myself to play them, and we were together in the semi-finals, and The day after I qualify for the final, I come to Stamford Bridge for the Chelsea Monaco game to analyze them and probably to be my opponent. So I was really aware of the potential of the team, a team that at that time I could split in players that I really love, and I think they have the level to reach the next level with Chelsea. Some of others probably not so much. And then when I joined, there were already decisions made, fantastic decisions. Would be easy for me now to say, Peter Cech, come with me, or Aaron Robben, come with me. No, they come to Chelsea at the same time as me, but with decisions made before I arrive. We go to pre-season, and in pre-season was like a confrontation between my ideas and the way I analyze my players, even in friendlies. And then I thought was very important to play like Ricardo, which was proven that he was for many years really top, and that structure of Peter, Ricardo, and Terry was like a steel triangle that was fundamental for that team. And then Didier was the kind of player that I analyze a lot because we play against Marseille in the Champions League, and I thought that profile of player is really the profile of the Premier League. And again, was fantastic decisions. But in relation to that, we go back to our history as coaches, and we always have great decisions and also not so good decisions.
In the 2004-2005 season, Roman Abramovich and Chelsea would go on to spend £95 million on transfers to strengthen the squad to try and win the big title. Upon Mourinho's arrival in England, he would analyze the, at the time, favourite and highly played 4-4-2 formation by many teams and immediately figure out a way to beat the formation. His solution and tactical genius were found in the 4-3-3. The special one would pull one of the strikers down to a midfield position where he now had 3 midfielders and would add 2 fast and agile wingers with Duff and Robben on the sides up front that could cut in and put pressure on the opposing defense by either taking a shot or crossing the ball to Chelsea's newest dangerous striker in the middle, Didier Drogba. The tactical genius and playstyle of Mourinho's Chelsea can be seen by the importance of that one additional midfielder, who helped his side in their build-up play and unlocked his attacking trio during their lethal counterattacks. The main man to stabilize and hold the midfield and help the team in the switch between defense and offense was the defensive midfielder Claude Makelele, whereas the main man to orchestrate and build the offense was midfielder Frank Lampard. With Cech, Terry and Carvalho forming a strong defensive triangle, Mourinho had every asset he needed to form a deadly title-winning squad.
It was important to win against a direct rival in the context of 38 matches. You cannot lose many points, especially at home against direct rivals, if you want to win the title. I thought it was very important because there was not a contradiction between our words to the players, our ambitions, and then the result of the match. If you say this season is to be champion and then the first match you lose 2 or 3-0 at home with a direct rival, you give one step back. So it was one step forward. Was a big relation between that match and what we tried to give to the team in pre-season, which was mental strength, being compact, tactical discipline, and then be really ambitious on that approach that sometimes I call it the all-in approach. You have to put everything in that game, in every minute of the game, in every second of the game, is all in, is your quality, is your power, is your physical power, is your aggression, is your emotional control. You have to put everything, is all in. And that game was one of these matches where you could feel The all-in is one of these matches where I feel the game is 90 minutes, but could be 900 minutes. They wouldn't score, and we would always win the match.
First of all, apologies, there's going to be no players or any member of the management team from Chelsea talking after this game, as we will be submitting an official report to UEFA about an incident that occurred at half-time. And that's the end of the statement.
Jose Mourinho and Chelsea fans everywhere are on pins and needles as they wait for disciplinary sanctions from the Football Governing Board, UEFA.
The possible sanctions stem from an incident when Mourinho made disparaging remarks about another head coach.
I was suspended for 2 matches.
He is not allowed in the dressing room, tunnel or technical.
I couldn't be on the bench and I couldn't be in the dressing room. But it was a big game against Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. And I thought this is the kind of game where they really, really need me. They need what I used to call that skin-to-skin connection, where you are there, where they feel you, where they listen to you, where you can share emotions. I'm not putting pressure on you about we have to win. I don't want to put that kind of pressure, but we cannot lose. We cannot lose. And I felt so frustrated. I want to be with my players, even against the rules. But I don't want to be in trouble. So do I risk my career? And after thinking about it, I made the decision of being in the dressing room. If I go to the dressing room very, very early, nobody can find me, you know. After the game, empty stadium, empty streets, I will walk home, no problem at all. So I went to the dressing room when nobody was in the stadium.
Jose Mourinho in his first season as Chelsea manager, beating Barcelona in the first knockout stage to set up a quarter-final against Bayern Munich.
Before the game, the first thing that I told them was that I'm there for them. I'm here waiting for you at the halftime. I'm going to listen to the game from the dressing room. If the result at halftime is not a good one, then yes, you are going to need me here, I'm going to be here. And I felt that was very important for my boys.
Jose Mourinho missing from the Chelsea bench today due to the Anders Frisk incident earlier this week. But Mourinho's not banned from the stadium, so we'll see if our cameras can find him somewhere.
But of course, with intelligent people, they know what I would do in that kind of situation.
I tell you what, we can't seem to find him anywhere, John.
And they thought if we didn't see him in the stands, if we didn't see him in any box, if television cameras, they could not find him, he must be in the dressing room. So they come to the dressing room, and the only possible thing was, in a fraction of seconds, was to dive into the laundry basket. I was a little bit scared.
Head into the centre, Drogba lashes it home. Chelsea taking complete control of this quarter-final.
And the basket had the metal box, and the kit man was afraid UEFA was going so deep that they could even open the metal box. He locked the metal box. And he took me to the laundry. It was a couple of minutes distance, but I felt that was a 3 hours distance. Incredible, awful feeling to be closed in the metal basket.
The final score in this quarter-final, Chelsea 4, Bayern Munich 2.
UEFA, they really tried, but they could not find me. We won the game, but it's not about that. It's what I did in that game, in that dressing room. was something that I'm not proud of it because I went against the rules, but I'm proud of it as a leader. I'm proud of it as a player's friend. I'm proud of it because I did it for my boys. For your family, do anything, even break the rules. I think I became a little bit claustrophobic after that.
Mourinho really loved his boys and looked at them as his second family. From the first day and training session, that was exactly what he tried to implement into his squad and make his players realize. That they are a unit and that football is a team game where every player needs to give his everything for the team in order to win. He expected 100% from everyone out there, and as you can see, he led his players like a true leader, leading by example. Another thing which he heavily utilized during his years at the club was his tactical periodization. If you've seen the first part of this Jose Mourinho documentary series and have paid attention, then you must be able to remember the term tactical periodization and how important it truly is for the Portuguese coach. And if you for some reason or another haven't seen the first part yet, I highly recommend you checking out the special one's beginnings and his time with Porto after watching this video. I'll put the link to it in the description here. Obviously, he implemented it wherever he went, thereby also using it during training sessions with Chelsea. Many players like Lampard or Terry, for example, have thereby praised Mourinho and his trainings being so tense because with said tactical periodization, he would go on and combine the running aspect of a training with the technical and physical aspect while also teaching his players his tactics and his style of football. Or, to put all of this simple, by giving the players footballs from their first preparational training sessions instead of instructing them to purely run laps, the players would end up running and training much harder during his training sessions, while at the same time practicing multiple important game mechanics, like dribbling the ball, passing the ball, or shooting the ball, all in one simple drill.
He was the first one who came in and revolutionised it at Chelsea. He'd be the first one in, and no lie, 8 o'clock, he'd be the one setting the cones out, and you come in as a group of players, and he was out there pouring the rain, getting his session organised, and we literally went from like 4 grids of the pitch, from that to that, but in between that, there was drinks. So there weren't, no, this session here, go over there for a drink. It was, lads, we're training for an hour, that's it, you go from there to there, to there, to there. He brought 3 young kids in, ball boys. Every time the ball went out of play, we had a ball back in instantly. And if that was a bad pass or a bad roll from one of his staff, he would stop the session and go absolutely berserk at his members of staff. And to a point, pretty embarrassing for them. But his standards were so high, and he demanded from everyone, you know, from the players, his staff, from people inside the medical team, everyone at the football club.
So you'd never seen that level of professionalism before?
Not like that, no. He was on everything. He knew, you know, when we travelled, why we travelled 2 days earlier, why we stayed overnight, the best hotels. He was on everything. Just his intensity to everything and attention to detail was incredible.
Did he change the way that you thought about football?
Yeah, 100%. When he first came in, the first session, the lads walked in, we was like, wow, that's a proper session, that.
Can you remember the specifics of that?
Well, just the flow. It was pre-season, and the first thing he said to the players was, right, balls day one. And balls of our generation, of going, you got footballs out day one of pre-season, was probably unheard of. He was like, his fitness coach was, you never see a pianist run around the piano, you see a pianist work on the piano and improve. And from day one we had the balls, and mentally it was like, wow. But I tell you what, we probably covered more distance with the ball than we would have done running around the pitch. But mentally and psychologically, he had us. We was brought into whatever he was going to deliver that day.
How did that change when he came back, that second spell?
He was the same, exactly the same. Now, people have said about when he come back, he wasn't. The intensity, him taking every session, him being there, you know, just having his presence. He never, on the second time round, he never took every session himself, but his presence was there. And you felt it as a player. He had his eyes on everyone. If someone was messing about in the warm-up or kicking a ball when he's speaking, it was like, when I speak, the ball stays still, you listen to me. You know, he was the boss.
From the outside, at times, certainly in that second spell, and there were rumours about it not ending well in the first spell between you and he, relationship-wise, but from the outside, John, in that second spell, it looked like it was a complicated relationship. he very publicly substituted you at Manchester City at half-time when it perhaps wasn't necessary to do that. Tell us from your point of view.
Well, I think the big managers, and when I look in world football, he's probably the biggest, and the big managers are never afraid to make big decisions. Now, he obviously thought that was right, but even as a player, as his captain, played every minute of every game the season before, I was like, he's in charge, that's it. I went in the following day, we didn't even talk about it. And I just showed him that, you know, I'm here if you need me, that was it. There was no discussion, no need for him to pull me, if that was his faults. And the mentality, I would literally, probably for the football club, but for him, I would give everything. I would leave that pitch, you know, in a coffin for him. It was, and every player that he had felt the exact same way.
And does that relationship continue? Is it still the same now?
Yeah,
with him?
still in great contact. Even when I joined Aston Villa, he was the first one to text me, congratulate me, and said he'd be watching the games. He'll be a Villa fan. And listen, that's what he does. When Rafa was at Chelsea, he didn't play me. Then Mourinho took over again. He was the one on the phone to me in the summer going, JT, I know you as an individual, I know you as a player. We start from scratch, come back, you're my main man, you're my captain, you're going to play next year. Work hard in the summer. And I remember being out for dinner with my wife and my kids. I had a glass of wine. I got off the phone to him and was like, that's it, no more wine, that's it, I'm training 2-3 times a day. And that's the way he pressed people's buttons. He knew how to press mine, he knew how to press Lamps's and get the best and suck every last bit out of everyone.
What's important to remember in all this is that Chelsea was a team that was on the rise for a couple of years. But until Jose joined, they had some troubles truly winning it all and staying on the top. In the 2003-2004 season, Chelsea had achieved their highest ever Premier League finish in 49 years, ending the season in second place behind Arsenal's invincible side. But despite that achievement, despite the progress and evolution of the club over the last couple of years, fresh club owner Roman Abramovich wasn't happy with coach Claudio Ranieri's results, thereby sacking him and looking for a coach that could bring Chelsea the titles and glory that he was also after. The ambition from being a top side in England drastically changed to being the best team in England, and one man was meant to help them achieve that goal: Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho's personality and his interviews would catch the attention of football fans all around the world. In his first interview as Chelsea manager, he told the interviewers to not call him arrogant because that wasn't true. He wasn't just one of the bottle, but rather a special one, and with that interview, Jose had found his nickname in the football world.
Jose, how delighted are you to win your first trophy with Chelsea?
I'm very happy, of course, I'm very happy. Not just for me, because for me it's not so important. I think for the fans, for the club, for the players, especially for the players who were in this club for a few years without silverware, I think it's important. It's very difficult to win for the first time, and for these players is the first time, and for the club is the first time over the last, I think, 5 years. So it was very important for us.
How much do you regret your actions that caused you to be sent off?
I don't regret, because the only thing I have to understand is that I'm in England, that's your country, I have to adapt. So maybe even when I think I'm not wrong, I have to adapt to your country. Because I'm here, I work here, and I have to respect that. But I have a lot of respect for Liverpool fans. And what I did, the signal of close your mouth a little bit, was not for them.
Who was it for?
For the English press. Because they speak too much, because Chelsea lost 2 matches. We lost in Newcastle a game that maybe we shouldn't lose, a game that we didn't play with our maximum strength, a game that Newcastle fought a lot to win, so is a result that you have to accept as a normal result. We lost in Barcelona 2-1 in the circumstances you saw. You don't say, but you saw the same circumstances I saw. And in my opinion, you try to do everything to disturb Chelsea and to try to take some confidence from us and try to put some pressure on us. I have to be fair with you. Yesterday I saw and I heard a Manchester United match. You spoke more about Chelsea than Manchester United. And there is one thing that you cannot forget.
We didn't lose against West Bromwich. We have one match less. Maybe we lose, maybe we draw, maybe we win, but in this moment, the gap is 6 points because we didn't play. And yesterday looks a wonderful day just because the gap was close. So the signal was for you. Wait a little bit, don't speak too soon. We have the first title, and almost for sure, we will have the second one, and the second one will be the big one.
You sound as though you're feeling the pressure.
I'm not feeling the pressure, no. You cannot put pressure on me, no chance. No chance. I read a lot of times during this week that I have to prove a lot in English football. Sir Alex is the only one European champion in this country. Nobody else. So I have to prove what?
Congratulations, well done today.
Thanks a lot.
The 2004-2005 season of the Premier League was a historical one for the club. They didn't just win the Premier League trophy, but they broke and set a couple of records while doing so. Chelsea finished the season with the highest points in total in Premier League history with 95 points, and that record would only be broken 13 years later in the 2017-2018 season by Manchester City, who had won the league in that year, collecting 100 points along the way. Chelsea also kept 24 clean sheets in the 04-05 season, which was and still is the most clean sheets in one season in Premier League history. Mourinho's side set these impressive records, while also only conceding 15 goals in a whole season. Yes, you've heard me right, 15. That is another record that is still standing to this day in the Premier League, and when taking a look into Chelsea's total stats, we see that they've ended the season with 29 wins, 8 draws, and only 1 unlucky loss to Manchester City, which destroyed their chances of being the next Invincibles side right next to Wenger's Arsenal Invincibles.
Always the most important thing is to reach the objective, to reach the target. And the target was to win the Premier League. So then how you did it, is it important? Yes, it's important. We were defensively phenomenal. We were almost unbeatable. And not just the word unbeatable, because that can sometimes take you in a direction where nobody can beat you. We beat everybody, scoring a lot of goals, playing absolutely fantastic, dominant football, because we were really dominant. But then, when we were in front, we had that ability, we had that capacity to kill teams in transition. In the first season, I remember that we were top of the league since September, and in September, the media and everybody was saying, they will collapse before Christmas, and then they will collapse after Christmas, and then they will collapse in Easter, and then they never collapsed. But the reality is that the team had that kind of positive atmosphere. Also, the players' profile was fantastic. The relation between them was really good, and I think everybody was really committed since the beginning.
Now, let's take a closer look at the previously mentioned tactics and see how the 4-3-3 truly worked its wonders for Mourinho's Chelsea side. Like I've said, back in the day, the 4-4-2 formation was the favorite formation played by most teams in the Premier League, but that would only help Mourinho in his quest of Premier League glory, since his 4-3-3 formation was a perfect counter to it. The strengths of his tactics were primarily found in the additional defensive midfielder Claude Makelele. With Petr Cech in goal, Mourinho had one of the greatest goalkeepers in Premier League history, and with John Terry and Ricardo Carvalho in front of him as his centre-back duo, one can quickly understand how difficult it simply was to get the ball inside of Chelsea's goal. When Cech would save an opposing shot, he would either have a long goal kick out to the in-the-air dominant Didier Drogba, or he'd simply roll the ball to one of his 2 central defenders, primarily Ricardo Carvalho, who followed Mourinho in his move from Porto to Chelsea, where a similar, if not the same role within the team, was waiting for him. Since Ricardo was a talented defender on the ball and had a great delivery, he was often tasked to look at key passes either in the middle or on the flanks of the pitch, in order to be the first station in Chelsea's counter-attacking steamroll. If he got pressured by opposition though, he could then either resort to a safe pass to his fullback or take advantage of the 3 versus 2 advantage in midfield. While Makelele would stay defensive, Lampard would be focused on the offensive. The third midfield player would then either be Thiago, a high work rate box-to-box midfielder, Joe Cole or Good Johnson, who would both be rather offensive-minded midfielders that would follow up with Frank Lampard in offense and try to score or assist a goal in the game. But if all of the midfield players were pushed back due to the opposition playing an aggressive defensive style, then one of the players in the back would often look for Duff or Robin on the wings to provide them a chip through ball and take advantage of their insane speed with the ball. Didier Drogba, despite being a single striker, often occupied both centre backs at the same time. His strong physicality combined with his aerial threat and good pace made him a threat which the opposing teams always had to think of. This allowed Lampard to often come in from behind, almost acting as a second striker when looking at his post-transition positioning, to score a goal from either penetrating into the 16 meters box or taking a deadly shot from outside it. He was known for them in the league after all. It was also important to mention that the wingers Duff and Robin would not only be dangerous wingers who were capable to cut inside and take on the opposing goalkeeper with a dangerous shot on goal, but were also great passers and crossers. This would thereby either unlock Drogba's aerial abilities, with him scoring a bunch of headers when put in such situations in front of goal, or on some occasions, Drogba would simply play the ball back with his head, assisting the late arriving Lampard in scoring a banger goal for the Blues, who would almost always find himself in an isolated position due to Mourinho's transitional tactics simply outnumbering his opponents with their deadly counterattacks. But Lampard could also adapt and play more the role of the old-school central midfielder, dropping back in midfield while also working high in offense and especially in defense. But that wasn't all. In offense, Drogba could also get the ball early during transitional play and then wait for the opponents to pressure him, leaving the wingers open for a well-played through ball, giving them the opportunity to score as well. Now, similar to his playstyle in Porto, Mourinho would take advantage of his 2 fullbacks Ashley Cole and Paulo Ferreira, who would, just like in Porto, one at a time join the offense with an overlapping run, creating a numbers advantage in attack. At the same time, the other fullback would naturally have to stay back to cover and defend in case they lose the ball, or the opposition turns into a counter-attack themselves. In such scenarios, the defense would consist of the one fullback who stayed back, the 2 centre-backs, and a fast-tracking back defensive midfielder in Makelele, thereby still forming a line of 4 defenders and pushing the opposition's counter-attack back while waiting for the rest of the team to arrive and support them in defense. This included their wingers, which helped Chelsea's defense and thereby formed the defensive 4-5-1 formation. This defensive stability and compactness helped the team and goalkeeper Cech collect the record-breaking 24 clean sheets in 38 games played, while also only conceding 15 goals over the course of that whole season. But more importantly than the tactics was the man behind it all. Coach Jose Mourinho was able to transform his side into a strong unit, a team of individual stars who never appeared as such on the pitch. Rather, it was an unbeatable collective that fought side by side, possession after possession, for the wins like their lives depended on them. They showed Jose their fighting spirit and thereby earned his trust and admiration. Jose truly loved being at Chelsea, and after winning his first Premier League trophy with the club, he had quite a few things to say about the squad and the club.
Jose, a very special moment. Who were you on the phone to? Who did you want to talk to first?
My wife, my kids.
And what did they say?
They're in Portugal. They went to Portugal for this weekend, but they saw it live, and they're happy, of course. They're happy like me.
Well, congratulations to you. Your team are now the champions of England. You said you were the special one. Does this prove it?
No, our group is a special group. Our group is a special group. They deserve this. I think nobody speaking with fair and sense can say we don't deserve this title, because we did it absolutely magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. The players, they deserve this more than than anybody, but I'm very happy for the fans, especially for fans never champions, so people with less than 50 years old. And Roman, I think he deserves a lot. Eugene, the people with the big boss, Peter Cannon. But this group is really special. That's why I want to stay with them the maximum time I can. So maybe I have to stay more than the contract I have, maybe more years.
So you'd like to talk about a new contract already?
It's possible. It's very possible because my heart is with them.
Why is that? How has this club won your heart?
This group is special. My players are special, you know. It's not easy. The way we were champions is not easy. This weekend again, the same story. Why Arsenal play again on Monday? You know it, you don't tell me.
Yeah, but tell me, Jose, before you go, was there a moment in the season when you knew that you had won it?
Just now. Just now, because football is crazy sometimes, and mathematically is now. But we know from a few months ago that with the distance of 11, 9, 13 points, 10, this distance we kept from very early stage of the season, we know that it's very difficult to lose the championship, but everything is possible in football. So just now, when mathematically is over, is the moment where we really feel we are champions.
What is so special about this group of players you've moulded?
It's the mentality, it's the ambition, the desire. People coming from many different places. We met for the first time in July, and from that moment we built something special. When we have to play, we play. When we have to fight, we fight. When we have to suffer, we suffer, always together. This game, I think, was the perfect game to be champion because it was an incredible, difficult game. Bolton is a very different and difficult style of play, and we had to adapt. We play like we never do, but we did it. We finished the game with Robert, Tut, Jarozic, all the big guys for what? Just to fight. And we fought like lions, so the players deserve. And now is my time to disappear, and it's time for press with my players, the heroes.
But Mourinho and his Chelsea side weren't done winning yet. In the following years, Mourinho would go on to win a bunch more titles with the Blues, while also managing to win a back-to-back Premier League title, which back then was a huge accomplishment, because Chelsea was only the second team in Premier League history to ever manage this triumph, with the other team being Manchester United.
And the second season was even easier than the first one, because the second we were even more dominant. It was so nice and easy. I can not even choose a moment where I thought that's our Premier League. I think I felt that since the beginning. We were so strong. The team was so dominant. The team knows the moments of the game. The team knows when to be more defensive. The team knows when to be and to control the game by having ball possession. The team knows the crucial moments to kill opponents in transition. We could keep clean sheets so easily. When we were in front, we had immediately that feeling of the game is in the pocket. In opponents, there were also a little feeling of a fear. They want to defend in a low block, but they know that any cross with people like Drogba was difficult. And then they know that when I need a second one, I have a goal scorer like Crespo to come and to play together with Drogba. And then they know if there is lots of set pieces, we go there with the Giants and with Terry and everybody, and we score. They know if the block is too low, that Lampard gets the ball, and from 20-30 meters, in 5 shots, he scores 4 goals. The team was really strong. Our records at Stamford Bridge was something incredible. So I think every Chelsea fan goes to Stamford Bridge and knows this match we are going to win. We had even a match against Tottenham in the cup that we are losing at half time, and we drew 3-3. And Then we go to White Hart Lane and we win and we qualify to the final and we win that final. Was that feeling of is impossible. We were losing one game against Arsenal at home 1-0, and then minute 90 SCN from 30 meters put the ball in the top corner. So the team was really strong.
Unfortunately for Mourinho though, come the 07-08 season, he was sacked by the club due to the long-standing differences with the club's owner, Roman Abramovich, re-emerging. The differences between Jose and Roman had been so strong that they have forced the Portuguese coach into the drastic step of leaving the club. And while his intention was to stay at the club until the last day of his contract, these issues, combined with his failure to win the Champions League with the team, led to his sacking, or, as it was reported in the media, to a mutual parting of ways between Mourinho and Chelsea. The resignation came in the wake of a crisis meeting between Mourinho and Abramovich after a simple draw against Rosenborg in the opening round of the Champions League. Abramovich made a point in talks over the summer that he expected a more expansive and attractive game from the club, for which he has bankrolled to the tune of some £500 million since 2003. The Russian was not appeased by domestic cup success last term and remained deeply frustrated by Chelsea's inability to secure a first European cup. Under Jose Mourinho, the club ended a 50-year wait for the league championship by claiming the title in 2005, a feat they repeated a year later. During his third season, they may have seen the title surrendered to Manchester United, but there was still enough success in the FA Cup and League Cup, as well as a second Champions League semi-final under the Portuguese coach in 3 years. Although that is the furthest Chelsea have progressed in Europe's elite competition, the manager's failure to win the Champions League has undoubtedly contributed to the breakdown in his relationship with Abramovich, who had set very high expectations with only limited amounts of understanding and time given to the special one to achieve, thereby leaving all of us to think what Chelsea under Mourinho could have been and how many Champions League titles they could have lifted together had Abramovich just been a bit more patient with his coach. Maybe Mourinho was on the rise to becoming the next Ferguson of the league. I guess that's a thing we will never truly know.
Sometimes I don't know if it is a good thing or a bad thing, but that's my way. When I go to a club, it's like a sense of duty. It looks like I feel that is my duty to give the people what the people wants, what the people is waiting for. And the only way to do it is not just by being a good professional, is by being one of them. So what I did with Chelsea was exactly what I did in Porto before. You go there and you are one of them, and I think that's exactly the word. It's like a sense of duty. You have duty to these people, not just to the club itself or to the owner or to the players, to the people. And I try to give everything. Then when you leave, of course, it's never an easy moment, but next day the sun will rise again, unless you are in London and you have to wait a couple of weeks.
It's 7 a.m. and a very good morning to you. This is Sunrise Thursday, the 20th of September. The top stories: goodbye Mourinho. Shock for Chelsea as the club and manager agreed to part ways by mutual consent.
Mourinho joined the club 3 years ago, led them to the Premiership title in his first 2 seasons. His decision to leave comes just a day after the club's disappointing performance in the Champions League.
Chelsea fans, Eamon, will be stunned and they will be very upset this morning. He was very loved here at Chelsea.
Come back, Mourinho! Come back, Mourinho! Come back, Mourinho!
When I was a teen, my father also a coach. He did an amazing job in one Portuguese club. He took the club to the Portuguese Cup final, so incredible achievement. And he had a very important offer to leave, but my father was a big heart, and he decided to stay. A few months later, he was sacked.